All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Be the Exception podcast. We got Amanda on today. Amanda, thanks for jumping on
Hi, good to be here again.
again. It's been like what, August, 4 months,
Something
5
like
months,
that,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, so we just kind of wanted to recap your fall season because it was a lot of fun, and kind of maybe some of the summer stuff as well, and then we wanted to get into just kind of what your take is on some of the CrossFit Games stuff and kind of how you're planning on setting up your season this year, like some of the emotions that you went through and stuff like that. Because I think there's a significant amount of people right now that are kind of just, wading through the waves and trying to figure out, what exactly they want to do this year. Some of the semifinals stuff that they've been announcing has been super chaotic and not super well informed as well. So we'll just kind of get into that and just like how you came to the decision. So
Cool.
Yeah. First off, okay, you won 205, which is now Magic City, and that was in July, right?
No, that was the first weekend in September.
First week in September. Okay, yeah. So it is the fall then. Yeah. I was thinking that was in July for some reason.
That was a grid match.
That was the grid match. Okay. Yep. So you won 205. Then you went to Pensacola. You won Pensacola. That was pretty sick. Yeah. And then you guys won grid championships as well. So you had a crazy fall.
Yeah.
Take us through like just 205 to Pensacola to grid championships and like what you were kind of experiencing through all that.
Yeah. Well, 205 was that was not a planned one. A guy, his name's, I don't think he listens to this anyway, but I'm pretty sure his name's Brett. He works for Grid League. Okay. And he just, I think they were just wanting more signups. So they reached out to me and they're like, hey, do you want to do this comp? And I'm like, no, it's in. I was kind of going through like to just start touching on the emotions you were talking about.
Right.
I was definitely in like a weird, I don't know what I'm doing next season. I don't know how I feel about what happened at the games. Because this was like
very fresh.
Right. 3 weeks tops, like a month.
Right.
Of just under a month. And so, I mean, how it affected me, I can only imagine the athletes that were there. Heart goes out to them, and like I hope they're all doing okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I was just kind of feeling weird, not really knowing I'm just like, I don't know. And so I remember basically being like, hey, are you cool if I do this? I just think I need to get my hat back in the ring, get back on the competition floor. Because it was really like do I even want to compete in CrossFit anymore? Yeah. This last season was pretty deflating for me.
Yeah, right.
So did that, and won it, which was really cool. And they had a lifting event. It was a clean and jerk ladder, and the winners in both the male and female division won a golden barbell. Yeah. And that was kind of like a knock at CrossFit a little bit, because remember during the Open they had these like challenge things, and it was like you'll get the golden barbell, but then really whoever won them, you got like a gift card to Rogue. You didn't actually get a golden barbell.
I didn't hear that. No, this was this last Open? I think
this was during this past Open.
And they just sent a gift card to people?
They just sent a gift card, but it was like the golden barbell. And so it was kind of like we're going to actually give you a golden barbell.
I didn't realize. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was fun because both Patrick and I won, like Coach Pat, blacklisted Coach Pat, like we both won that event for our division. So we have 2 golden barbells at home, which is cool.
Loaded up the car with golden barbells coming back from that one.
Yeah. So that one was really fun just because like it was an RX competition. Like it was just fun to get back on the competition floor and just be like, okay, I do love this. And they had really fun events. Like Magic City Games is what it's called now. They have a qualification process this year. They do have a qualifier, but check them out because it was a really fun competition. They had a pool workout for the teams. They had a bike workout, like not a mountain bike necessarily. It was like, but we had a bike workout, which was cool. It was just different.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like the games is usually where you see something like that. Yeah. So to have that at more of like a local comp was pretty fun.
Yeah, so definitely check them out.
And if you've ever seen Cartman in the Special Olympics episode from South Park. Go check out Pat's with the helmet on. Maybe we can try and pop that up in the comments or something like that.
Required to keep our helmet on. Our muscle ups, chest to bar, and dumbbell stuff with a helmet. It's kind of silly, but it was fun. So that was just fun. It was like, okay, no, I do like competing. So so I knew I was going to want to keep competing, but at that point, still not sure. And so
you had like maybe just back it up a little bit for some people who are like a little bit newer. Like you had a super successful 2023 season. You let's see, I don't think you competed in Fit as a Coast, but you competed for your first time elite TFX, right? Was that year?
Yes, that must have because
So it was like I think there was elite TFX. And I think that was your first elite competition. As an individual.
Yeah.
And then you went on to qualify for semifinals, and then you went on to like pretty much hold a games qualifying spot throughout the course of the semifinals weekend. So it was like this crazy 2023 season.
Who is she?
Right. And then I remember like you leaving semifinal, like we were leaving the semifinals stadium, and you were like, man, it's weird. Like I didn't expect to be disappointed and happy leaving the stadium. So it was like it's super just like not a lot of people come away from a season feeling like they accomplished something, you know? So it was like, it was a really, and especially after 2 years of kind of like heartbreak missing out on the games, it was like this finally like breath of fresh air. And then continuing with that, like you went on to Fit as the Coast, you won Fit as the Coast that year. And then we go into quarterfinals, and like literally just one workout and the fact that you were in the East kept you out of semifinals again the next year. And like, that's a whole fucking rabbit hole that you can go down. But then it's like after that, it was like you went on and won Magic City, you went on one Pensacola, you went on one grid. So it's just like
everything I did outside of the CrossFit
2023 2023 to literally the end of 2024 into January of 2025 has been like super successful, minus that one little, but it's just crazy how that one little thing can have such an impact on you. You know?
Well, I mean, it's the thing that I basically moved down here for, right? Like the CrossFit Games, it's been my goal and the thing I've been pushing for 5 years, whether that was team or individual.
Right.
And to have such a successful 2023 and then to miss out in 2024 barely.
Right.
Really. And that just the rabbit hole of all of that. It's just, it's not even just that I missed out. It's like it's X, Y, and Z, not just X.
Yes, right.
But it's so weird because even after 205, remember I was like testing for beach brawl, and I was like, I'm gonna freaking embarrass myself.
Yeah, you weren't even confident. Yeah, you weren't.
Still wasn't even
confident going in. Yeah.
And then, I wasn't. And this beach brawl was funny because I'm just like, you know what? I'm letting all that go. I'm just gonna go have fun and see what happens. I'm not looking at the leaderboard. I'm not like a leaderboarder. But like, I always look at the leaderboard during competitions because it just helps my brain to know where I'm at. Right. But I was like, I'm not going to look at the leaderboard. I'm just going to go out, do my shit. And like, what happens, happens. And like, we're warming up for the first event. And I had this weird thing.
Yeah, it was not good.
Was like,
it was not good.
It just felt like my abs were going to pull apart. And the first workout was toes to bar, chest to bar, big muscle ups.
Yeah, like, we're literally like, you're in the line to go into the competition floor, and I'm like pressing on your abdominal wall trying to loosen something up in there.
And it was like, I had multiple people. I did fine. I sounded like everybody did worse than they trained.
Yes,
for that one.
But I think you were like, only one rep away on that one from your training? Or was it 2?
It was like a 3.
3, okay, yeah.
But like everybody was about 3 reps away from what they did in training. Like, there's people who finished it in training and didn't finish it out. Like, I think, wasn't Mary Helen the only person who finished it?
It was
in the elite division.
It was like 1 to 3. I can't remember exactly. Yeah.
But either way, I was just like, but there, like Nicole was like, you okay? Like, you didn't look like yourself. Because even like I wasn't moving the snatch well, which like obviously that because I was just like, okay, how do I just not pull an ab?
Right.
But I still did fine. I took like what, 7th in a gymnastics workout. I'm like, bet. Like, that's
right.
Of the pack, that's
totally fine.
Middle of the pack. That's where I need to be for a gymnastics workout.
Right.
And then the other ones, I just like, again, went out there, won the lift, finally didn't tie the lift, won the lift, took second in the C2 bike sandbag clean one by like a second.
Was it, I'm trying to remember the order. Was the lift the second one, or was that the third? The third one. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
The sandbag clean was the second one, and then the final one was the DT, which was the workout I was the most nervous for because it was trash in training both times. Right. The first time I was like, well, that sucked, and then we're like, let's test it again with a different strategy, and it was worse. So like,
right.
I found out before that event that I was tied for first place. Yeah. Because Beach Brawl posted something on Instagram, and I'm like, tagged me in it, and like winning the lift rocketed her up, tied for first place. I'm like, I need to know that. I didn't want to know. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it came down to whoever won that last event was going to take first at Beach Brawl. Right. Because the point spread was so close.
Because I think it was anywhere from like 4th place could have won.
It was literally between like me, Ashley, Ariel, Jessica, and I think Mary Helen.
I think she was up there. Yeah.
It was like whoever wins this last event. Basically, it's whoever takes first, second, third in this event is going to take first, second, third on the podium.
Right.
And that's what happened.
Right.
And so got through the first rounds of DT, and I got to the shuttle run first, and I'm like and I literally kept telling myself, if you lose this event at this point, it's your fault and you suck. That's what I was telling myself in my head. Yeah. Like, talk about positive self-talk.
But sometimes you need that, like, because like it's not so much that, like you telling yourself that it could, like, if you did happen to lose, like that could have spiraled you. Like now you're actually believing that you suck. Yeah. But in the moment, that's what held you accountable to putting in good efforts.
Because it was like literally can't blame anyone else but yourself if you lose this event. So like you're not losing this lead. Let's go. Yeah. And I almost finished it. So I'm pretty sure I got the furthest of men and women. I think. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I didn't watch the guys, but I mean, you obviously won the women's side. So yeah, so that was really fun, and that definitely boosted my confidence because, like, I think the reason my confidence wasn't super high after 205 is because, and this is no offense to the athletes at 205, but it was a local competition. Right. It's like, as somebody who trains at the level I do, has competed at the level I have, it was like, I hate using should because anything can happen, but it's like, that's a competition I should be winning or doing a really good job. There was only one other former semifinals athlete there. Right. And so I think that's why I was like, because, I'm looking at the list. I know, like, it's the girls I've competed against. I took 9th my first year at Beach Brawl. I took 5th the second year. And it's like, it's mostly all the same girls. Plus, you get some new ones every time, but they're all really good. Yeah. A couple of them made it to semifinals this last year. Right. Or were even closer than me to making semifinals.
Well, I mean, I think Jessica was semifinals.
Jessica, Mary Helen, they both made it. Ashley and Ariel
out of the West made it, Ari,
in qualifying position.
Yeah, that's right. No reps.
And then no reps.
Okay. Yep.
So it's like,
I mean, it was honestly like a pretty stacked field.
It was a very stacked field this year. And so I was like, okay, wow. Like, because before Beach Brawl, you and I had talked, and I was like, maybe I should go team this year. I don't think my head is an individual. Yeah. I don't even know if I want to do the CrossFit Games season, but like, if I do, I don't know that my head is in the individual space. But then we had a meeting the next, like right after that, where you were like, yeah, I was going to come into this meeting and kind of steer you towards team, but now I don't know. Yeah. It was kind of the same thing. I'm like, well, dang, maybe I do need to try I need to keep going on this individual train. So it was like, that was definitely a good confidence booster for me.
Sure.
And then we had Fittest to the Coast qualifiers. I took third in that. And like, we'll be competing in the pro division for the second time there.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm back. My mind is right for individual again.
Yeah.
But so it was just a crazy whirlwind of emotions. And even still, I finally think I'm at peace with my decision to not compete in the CrossFit Games season.
Right.
But I was really wrestling with that too, because again, the last 5 years, that's been my goal.
Right.
And even after Beach Brawl, when I was kind of deciding what do I want to do. And in my head, I was like 95% no. At that point, it kind of made, I told you, I was like, I'm feeling very apathetic in my I kept training. I kept doing my stuff. It's not like I stopped training.
Right.
But it was just hard to care about any of it. Yeah. Because it was like,
what's the point?
Yeah. Like the CrossFit Games have been my goal. And like, yes, there's other competitions and there's blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I really had to come to peace with like, at least for now, letting go of the CrossFit Games.
And it's kind of one of those things like you had to, like, I mean, this was a super tough decision, and like it's going to be a super tough decision for a lot of people. You're essentially wrestling with almost a lifetime goal at this point in time. Like, you've always been an athlete, you've always strived for athletic goals, and it just so happens that the games are your goal right now, right? And so like to have that and to be so dedicated and focused on that, and now all of a sudden there's this almost moral dilemma that comes in. You're like, man, what do I do? And like, it's a very tough situation to be in for athletes. And it's going to take a while to sort out exactly what you need to and want to do. Right. And there's not going to be, in this situation, I don't think there's a right answer either.
No. And like no judgment or people just need to make the decision that's best for them. I know you and Griffin have talked about it on a handful of podcasts at this point. Like, for me, I personally don't want to give my money to a company that just seems to clearly not really care. And so, but that's me. I have no judgment or anything for people who decide they still want to do do it. Like athletes, it's the same thing where everybody's like, oh, athletes should have backed out of the games. The games should have been canceled. It's like, people all the time were like, Amanda, what would have you done? I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't there.
You weren't, I
wasn't in it. I wasn't there. Like, there was reasons to do both things. Like, and so no judgment on anything. And people just are going to make the decision that's best for them. Right. And for me, I would rather pay to compete at other places and hopefully make some money.
Yeah. Right. And I think that was, like, so getting into it, I think like your decision is to not compete in the CrossFit season this year. And you're going to find other avenues to go compete at, which is something that actually the Dukiches were doing. They were finding other competitions and other avenues to go earn money at. And Luca is still doing that. So,
well, yeah, because all the competitions that I won this year had cash prizes. Right. So like
you've made more competing at local competitions, and like Beach Brawl is a little bit bigger than local, but like, I would call it like tier below
tier local competition.
Tier below tier 2 competitions. Than you've ever made competing in the CrossFit season. And it's just like, when you start doing that, like adding that up from a business perspective, it's like, well, shit, if I just go train for Rogue or train for Wadapalooza and I even make it to one of these things, like, what's my cash payout at that point in time? Yeah. So it's just, it makes more sense to compete inside of these local competitions from both a business perspective, for you from a moral standpoint, than it does to go, continue to try and chase this dream that we've seen has not, been a lucrative decision for a vast majority of the individuals chasing it, Yeah.
And who knows, maybe they get their stuff together and we go back to the game season next year. But yeah, it's just because that's the other thing too. I think Griffin made a comment on one of the other podcasts, like, if your goal's the games, like, this year's the year, there's probably a lot of people that aren't competing. And for me, that's actually another reason to not compete.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like, okay, you have, like, let's just say all these people who are signed for WFP, the World Fitness Project, which I'm sure we'll chat about in a second, aren't doing the game season. Right. Okay, so then if I do the season this year and I make it, like, am I really going to feel good about that, and accomplished about that? Because Laura Horvath and Sydney Wells and Brooke, like, you know, all these top athletes aren't there.
Yeah. Right.
You know, it's
not to say, and not to say that any of those individuals aren't doing the games.
Yeah, I have no idea.
We have no idea. Just examples.
I don't know them like that.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
I wouldn't be surprised if Laura's not, though, because she backed out of the games. Right?
Yes, right.
But anyway, she wouldn't even be my competition to make it to the game.
Yeah, right.
So it's just like, would that even really feel good?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't, but I don't want to also go through the whole season and then finally make it and then still not feel good about it because it wasn't a fully competitive season.
Yeah, right. You're like,
and again, anybody who wants to do the season totally should. And if you make it, you're valid.
Yeah, like that. And that's the thing is like,
but that's for me.
You still like, so kind of throwing it back to 2021, in 2020, obviously COVID happened and there's mass shutdowns of gyms across the US, the world. People weren't able to train. They kind of lost their way a little bit. And so the 2021 season, you could see there was this decrease in ability level. Like it was not great, but like year over year, the sport has been progressing.
Right.
And there wasn't a progression, and there was actually like a regression that year.
Yeah.
Outside of your guys' fucking semifinal.
Always at the toughest one.
Right. And so you had a lot of people that made the games that year that probably it was one and done type situations. But there's nothing to take away from that because they decided to make the decision to keep training throughout COVID, find a way to do that.
And they made the games out of the field of athletes that competed that year, which was the field of athletes. It wasn't fractioned. And I think that's the big thing this year is it's fractioned. And we don't genuinely know if the fittest is actually going to be the fittest this year, because more than likely there's going to be a vast majority of individuals that could genuinely have made the games that are choosing to sit out. And, you know, coming from an athlete standpoint, like part of the reason you want to go to the games is because, or, you know, any competition, is this a challenge and you want to compete against the best.
Yeah. Because like it challenges you and you want to find out what you have against the best individuals in the sport. And so, you know, I think that's probably another big thing that's weighing on you is like, where's the challenge at now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what are some local competitions here that you're looking at for this year? Or is there anything else you want to touch on that topic?
So.
Okay. No. All right. All right.
I get local competitions. I don't know. I'm considering doing Magic City again. It was a fun little comp.
Right.
Actually, the girl who took second place to me just actually messaged me. Her name's Carly. She was like, because they have a team still have the team division.
Oh,
and I think you can do both this
nice.
year. And she was just like, I think we should team up. Number 1 and 2, come back to win it all. It was really cute. So, but that would be, because that one's I think the qualifiers are in. No, the competition's July. I don't remember the season, but like maybe that one. But local ones, I haven't really thought too much about. I think, I guess coming up, I have Wadapalooza. Yeah, Brooke, Maddie, and I are competing in the elite
which is
female.
Definitely like a bucket list one to compete at.
Yeah, first time, so that'll be fun.
And you get the new venue,
which should be pretty cool. And then 2 weeks after Wadapalooza, going back to Fittest of the Coast.
Yep.
Doing individual and team again, which will be fun. Yep. And then after that, I think definitely taking a little bit of a break from competing, just because it has been like pretty much since September. It's been like Well, really
Yeah.
since July, I guess, because
Right.
July grid, September 205, now Magic City Beach Brawl, October
Yeah.
grid,
You
or
really-
August grid, October grid,
Yeah.
November grid, October qualifiers.
Yep.
Like it's just been
You've really, honestly, like only had June off this year.
Yes.
Because there was definitely some emotions coming off of, like, every year we've kind of just like played it by feel a little bit at the end of the season, and like
I was still training really hard after
you were
I didn't.
training. You were probably the fittest you've ever been in May, to be honest. At the end of May, because you
And
trained.
then I got hurt.
Yeah. Go. Yeah. Because you were. I mean, you were training.
I was like, F this. I'm still gonna just freaking pound my head.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and it's one of those, like, I've been in that situation too, right? Like we missed out on the games by a spot in 2015, and you get done with that, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened? And the only thing you know is at that point in time is like pushing hard, and so the easiest thing to do is just fall back into that routine.
You were like, you need to stop. Fine.
We took a month
But
off.
then I got more sad.
Right. Right.
You made me think about my feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think at this point, because again, it was like I was at this point where I was like, why do I care? Yes, I'm good, but why do I care? I'm not doing the game season. And so then you and I talked, and it's like, there's no reason I'm not competing at and at least trying to qualify for, but I fully believe I have the ability to qualify for competitions like Dubai and Rogue. So like at this point, until the games figures it out, I'll keep doing stuff like Beach Brawl and Fittest of the Coast that are kind of just more for fun and like hopefully maybe get a little paycheck off of.
Right.
But like big goal at this point, Rogue for sure. And then possibly Dubai. I have to renew my passport for that one.
That doesn't take too long.
I know. Possibly Rogue too. Do we even know where that one is this year?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think they've announced it yet.
I think they're trying to stay over in it was in Ireland this year, right? I think it was in Scotland. Scotland. Yeah.
Scotland.
I think they're trying to stay over there. I think they got a pretty favorable lease over there. It's a little bit cheaper for them to run. Which
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of the new big goal. So it's weird because normally this would be kind of when we'd be ramping up my training, and now it's like, okay, after Fittest of the Coast, we're just gonna chill.
Yeah.
I mean, not chill. We're gonna obviously still train, but like it's now about to be my off season.
Right.
Which feels, and I feel like I'll actually get an off season.
Yeah.
Which will be nice.
Right.
Because I feel like, I don't know, after the game season, it never actually feels like an off season.
It's so weird. It's like you run so high for so long.
Yeah.
And then it's like basically just instantly finished because the weekends go by so fast and it's just instantly done. And then you're like sitting there for a month or so, like trying to reflect on it. And you're still like trying to come down from that high. So it almost just doesn't ever feel like you genuinely get the break. You're still.
Well, and then the last 2 years also I've played grid, so that kind of takes away from off. Like, not that my training really changes much for grid, but I also like I have to stay in shape.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm like I am counted on a lot on my team, so it's like sure I could train less and be a little less fit, and I'd still be fine, but I'd probably be more effed up after a weekend though, you know? So it's just like that kind of takes away from that off season a little bit too, because you're just like, I have to train for that and stay fit for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And congrats on MVP this year.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's another thing that we forgot to mention. You won MVP in grid.
I did. I won MVP of the league. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's just mind blowing that you have these many accomplishments, and like, you know, it just sucks that the season didn't pan out the way that you wanted it to.
Well, I feel like I haven't like broken into the CrossFit even after last 2023. I feel like I haven't quite broken into the cool kids club.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's a handful of women like that are kind of my ability level where it's like that bubble game semifinals level athlete, and they all seem to just have all these connections and know these people and are competing at things like Dubai. And it's like, why am I not there? And it's just like, so this year, like I really want to get to more of those competitions, because it's like, I belong in the cool kids club.
Yeah. I mean, like, you still have to like earn your way into it, right?
Course,
but like, you're definitely like, and that was kind of one thing that we talked about is like, you know, your peers are competing at these competitions now. Like, let's take the step and go and try and qualify for these things. Because like, like, you know, a couple girls that you competed with at semifinals have competed at Dubai now. They've competed at Rogue. So it's just,
and these women that I have, for not to sound like a cocky asshole, but like I've beaten in competitions like Fittest of the Coast and Beach Brawl. So it's like, we're all right there. And so it's just like, there's no reason we're not all competing in this, you know?
Yep. So I think that was kind of like one thing that we wanted to try and do this year is like take a step out of, you know, the comfort zone of like, like, you know, as an organization, we really had fun at Fittest of the Coast. So we kind of pushed that to our athletes. And like, did you do it 2 years in a row or just
this will be the second year.
Yeah. So,
last
you
year
know,
was my first.
Yeah. So like you did it last year. You've been a big fan of Pensacola going down there, and man, that
was just fun.
Both those competitions are so much fun.
Yeah.
Like they're so much fun.
I think you need to have competitions like that throughout. Like as an elite athlete, when you're going so hard for a goal, it's just like, you have to have those competitions that are just like I go into those, like, obviously you always want to win and do your best. I'm never not doing everything I can to win, but you're just like, for those I go into them with a slightly different mindset. Yeah. Like, yes, always goal is to win, but it's just, I'm just trying to have fun. And typically when I'm having fun, I'm at my best. So right. So, right. Yeah. But it's like, I try to take some pressure off of it. Yeah. Because I perform well when I'm having fun. I do perform well under pressure, but it's just like, you need to have those competitions that feel less pressure. Yes. Because that's what keeps competing fun. Right. Also. Right. It's just making sure you do have those where you're just, I'm just going out having fun. What happens. Yeah. Like, right. Whatever. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, because I don't know if I've actually had anyone that's tried to, like, outside of Griffin last year when we were working together, like go and actually try and qualify for some of like Dubai and some of these competitions. So I think it's gonna be a fun, fun year. And that makes my season more kind of in the summertime, I guess. Yeah, summer and fall. They're both around the same-ish time, right? Like August. Yeah, so it'll be summer, fall, winter. So it'll be like build up will start in the summertime. Not that we won't be training throughout the course of spring, always training. But like the build up and the CrossFit will start to happen a little bit more towards the end of the year. Towards the end of the summer. Start of the summer, and then the CrossFit and qualifiers, I think, take place like sometime in that August, September, fall timeframe. Yeah. And we're at a spot that has AC now, so perfect. Yeah, no, it'll be fun, because Griffin and I have talked about trying to qualify for Rogue. But then 2 years ago, well, actually, these last couple of years, I think Grid just. Yeah. I think for sure 2 years ago we had a match the same weekend as the Rogue qualifiers. Yes. Yeah. And then I don't know this year why or whatever, but so. Yeah. And that would have been a lot. I mean, you're already doing a lot through the Grid season, and that would have been a lot. Yeah. A lot. And I got talked into the Wadapalooza qualifiers. So it's just like, But now I think Wadapalooza is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited. That one's such a bucket list competition that like, there's no swim, thank God. The swim there is. Beach brawl has scarred me for swimming in the ocean. Yeah, that's true. 2 years ago, we were swimming in that ocean at Beach Brawl, and we shouldn't have been. Sorry, Beach Brawl. Just saying. And so that, like, I do like swimming. I think it's a cool whatever, but like Beach Brawl kind of scarred me a little bit for swimming in the ocean. Right, yeah. Personally, I'm just glad. Like, Fittest of the Coast is going to have a swim event, and I'm excited for it because it's in the pool. It's at a pool, right? Pool. Okay. Yeah. As I think just it all should be, because it's a much more controlled environment. But anyway, so I am excited for that. Right. I think it's cool to swim at events, but I'm glad we're not swimming in the ocean. Yeah. So,
Whoa, just totally lost train of thought.
Are you talking about Wadapalooza?
Yeah.
Bucket list
item. Yeah. So it's going to be, that's just going to be, it's a fun event. Like I remember I went in 2019. So I'd competed at the games twice at that point in time, couple regionals. And I remember going to that one and being like, whoa, this is really fun again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. Okay. What all have you heard about, World Fitness Project?
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, what are your thoughts on that one?
I think it's going to be cool, but it's hard to say. I signed up for their wait list, like to get emails and stuff, but they haven't sent anything out yet.
Yeah.
And they're obviously announcing all these signed athletes.
Right.
It sounds like it's going to be another cool opportunity. Like we kind of talked about, more competitions to possibly make some more money for athletes. And so I'm interested to see, especially like I'm interested to see all these athletes who are signed, if they plan to do the CrossFit Games season.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's been said that the seasons or the competitions won't interfere with each other. So
yeah.
Like obviously not all of them are going to do the game season because Luca is signed. So it's just like, I'm curious to see what percentage of those people are going to try to do both.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what you're saying before the podcast, like it makes sense to do both for a lot of those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like double the paycheck.
Why not? Right. Exactly. Right. Which I think is great because I feel like we've been in the blacklisted like community. We've been talking for years about how there needs to be more opportunity for athletes to at kind of that hot top. And then like just below the top level, there needs to be more opportunity for these athletes to like
for feeder athletes to the elite level.
Yeah. To make a living off of this, like unless you are one of those top names that everybody knows, like we all have full-time jobs or 4 different jobs. And are trying to train full-time. So, it's like trying to professionalize. It sounds like World Fitness Project is really trying to professionalize the sport.
Right. Which is amazing.
Which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't really know much about it.
Yeah. I mean, to your point too, like even college football players at this point in time, college athletes are getting paid to be athletes. Yeah. And it's like, in order for your sports to grow, you need to find a way to give more people opportunity. And over the course of, I guess 2007 was almost 20 years now. 2006, because 16 was the 10-year anniversary. So so 19 years basically. The games have continuously just shrunk in size, and they've provided outside of the sanctional year. And I will say, with the changes that they're making this year, I do think it is going to provide more opportunity for people to compete, not make money though. Right. So, but they've continuously
pay to compete.
Yes. Right. So they've continuously just shrunk the talent pool and made it more and more exclusive, which there is something to be said about exclusivity and like the ability to earn that spot. But I think in a sport like this, in order to continue to make it grow, you have to give more people the hope that there's going to be an opportunity for them, because that's what people will chase. But if you continually just like dangle the carrot in front of them and be like, you almost got it. Right. People are going to get fed up at some point in time.
Well, it's just like you said, what they're doing this year, it looks like chaos. Like I'm like constantly sending you posts and being like, what the hell? Like, because.
Well, I mean, literally, what was it yesterday? You're like, or 2 days ago or something like that. You're like, did you see NorCal's semifinal?
No, you said that. You're like, they're adding NorCal, and I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, somebody told me that.
Because I thought there was just 2. Well, you said the Mayhem one. I don't remember seeing that one.
I thought it was like the fact that we're talking about this right now. Like, so I thought it was Syndicate
and TFX. For the 2 that I saw.
And I thought Mayhem Classic was supposed to be another one.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden NorCal is on the list as well.
And like Syndicate and TFX have both already kind of announced how that's going to work.
Right.
And it's like,
but it sounds like they're giving these competitions freedom,
autonomy to do what they want, which is so dumb.
It is. I kind of like the aspect of it, but it just, again, it doesn't create a consistent way to qualify for the game. And that was kind of the knock on sanctionals, is you're like running down a leaderboard and you're like, whoa, 7th place qualified. And so it's not this like one of the coolest experiences is earning that spot inside of the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the emotions that I felt when they announced us as number 1 and like going to the games was nothing I've ever experienced in my life. And it's like, and that was like, that's one of the big reasons.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. Right. Well, like, and that's
like just thinking about it.
And that's one of the reasons like I wanted to start helping people, is because it's such a cool experience. But when you have people that are qualifying, in 7th place to go to the games, they're not getting on the podium.
Yeah, they're not getting that feeling,
that announcement
of
like, and in 7th place we have so and so qualifying for the CrossFit Games. Like, okay.
Yeah. But it's just like it's so weird, because I feel like this season it looks like they're taking like the worst parts of their former formats and throwing them together.
Well, like
the TFX and the TFX and the Syndicate one are the two, because that's the only two that have really announced what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they still have that stupid Mississippi line.
Yes, which is crazy.
Which is so dumb. I'm sorry, and I know I'm biased because I'm in the East, but if anybody who has eyes can see that the East side of North America is so much denser than the West, and that is no knock on the athletes on the West. Right. It is just a fact.
Yeah.
Like, I would have qualified for semifinals last year, this 2024, if I had lived in the West.
Right. And you were 72nd place in the East, or
65th.
65th. Like yeah. 15 spots out.
Yes. And I would have qualified if I was on the West with the scores that I had, because I got no reps.
Yeah. What up?
And so, like, the fact that they still have that line, and then the Syndicate is only taking 30 people.
Yeah, but then TFX is like,
and
what,
TFX
36?
is taking 36.
Yeah.
And then, but TFX is also taking 3 from their competition that's happening this winter, or like, and that's okay, because what if I had known that, maybe I would have tried to do the TFX qualifier.
Right. Which
But then I'm also on the East, so if an athlete on the East is competing at TFX this January and they are in the top 3, do they still get a spot at TFX, or no, because they're on the, like, it's just a clusterfuck.
It's literally Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like, with the
like, literally, it's just, and I'm just like, God. And honestly, that's all making me.
That's the coffee maker. It'll get normalized out.
That's making me, all of that is making me feel better about my decision, because it just looks so stressful.
Yeah, you're right.
Looks so stressful.
Well, it's like, who wants to figure out, like, okay, so I qualified for NorCal. Let me go read through the entire rule book of what is going on in the CrossFit season, in the Open, at these other competitions, and NorCal, to figure out what place is going to the games at NorCal. Because you're going to have...
First things first, qualify 1% in the Open, which, like, for an athlete like me, that's going to happen.
Right.
And so, but it's just like, after that, it looks like there's 17 different tracks, and it's just like, what the hell?
And not only that, like, you're going to have people that are going to these competitions that qualify out of the Open that are going to completely mess up and that's why I'm saying 7th place. Like, you're going to have somebody from the West that's qualified for the games that goes to NorCal. You're going to have somebody from the East that qualified for the games that's going to go to Syndicate Crown. More than likely, I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's just going to throw a wrench into and put it in whack for all of these other competitions.
Yeah.
And also, like, how shitty is it going to feel to get on a podium at one of these competitions and be disappointed about being in 3rd place if only 1st and 2nd place are going?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of, like...
Right, like, only 2 people go?
So, like, if nobody goes to the games or decides to go to one of these live competitions that qualified out of the Open, and they're only taking the top 2, that 3rd place person who just did something ridiculous in the sport.
Podium basically a semifinal.
At a semifinal, which is a huge accomplishment, is now going to feel like shit for a whole year because they missed out on a game spot, which is just like, And I understand that that's the fourth place feeling as well.
Yes.
But you're literally standing on the podium. And technically, I consider top 3 winning at a competition.
Yes.
So, and like maybe we're getting the rules wrong and like you can't come to one of these or something. But again,
I don't know.
It is such chaos.
Right. Because then there's like, I haven't been following it super closely because, like I said, it freaking stresses me out.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not even doing this.
Right.
But like, I saw things like at the ones that are happening in Europe, like anybody who's top 1% in the open can go compete, but then potentially, like, it looks like maybe the ones here only North America athletes could compete at, and like, where's the fairness in that? I don't know if that's true.
Okay, yeah.
But like, there was some like I saw like contention about that in some comments, that it was like, wait, so North American athletes can come here and compete, but we can't go there and compete? Because where's the fairness in that? That makes no sense. Right. And so I'm just like, because TFX and Syndicate are looking
East and West.
Well, and they're taking the leaderboards from the East and West and saying the top X go here, or get invites for here.
Right.
And so right. That would sound like, to me, that sounds like only North America athletes can compete there. So I guess I don't know.
Well, I mean, the map that they showed was literally the Mississippi line.
Yeah.
They weren't showing like we're dividing the world in half via the Mississippi.
So I don't know. It's just, and so, all of this, it just looks like you said, maybe there's a way that this works in the future, but the way it's happening right now, it's just a cluster.
I mean, when you look at it big picture, it is allowing more people to compete at these semifinals because they're taking 36 at there's 4 now, right? So they're taking roughly 30, we'll just say like 33, right?
But like, how much duplication is there going to be?
Yeah,
too?
fair. Yeah.
Like if Mayhem and Syndicate are both one, NorCal and TFX are both, like, how much overlap? Like, can you compete at more than one?
Right.
Because if they're all looking at the leaderboard and just pulling from the leaderboard,
the top 30,
30 and all
they just
the opportunities.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, honestly, they've kind of gone back to how they were doing it in 21-22.
Yeah,
kind of, not really.
Right.
And so it's just like,
but even it seems like they try to make things, and again, there's probably a lot of behind the scenes that we're not aware of, but they just seem
also just not be understanding things correctly.
Yeah, true. But it just seems like they have taken things since 2020 or since 2019 when they started to do the sanctional stuff and just started to overcomplicate them. Because I think the reason people loved regionals so much and clamor for that to come back is because it was open regionals games and there was a set structure to it. You knew exactly what you needed to do. They changed the number of qualifying spots every year, and that still caused frustration. But it was like, I know that all I need to do is train for the open, train for the regionals, and train for the games. And it was a super set season structure. And now it's just like, okay, now I know I need to train for the open, train for an in-person semifinal, maybe.
Train for the open, train for the in-affiliate semifinal. And then after that, it's what am I training for?
What am I training for? Yeah. And like, it's just when you start to overcomplicate things like that, it starts to get frustrating for people.
Yeah.
And I kind of like it. I think it would be, one other thing that I think people need to keep in mind is that go back and look at sanctionals and look at how many events came out of sanctionals that are still running today. I think it's like 2, and they have
Dubai.
Yeah, Dubai. Sorry, it's a couple, but there was like 36 sanctioned events. So it's Dubai, Wadapalooza.
I'm trying to think of the like North America
Strength
one.
and Depth, which rebranded after they got done. And there's one other one that I'm not thinking of,
Historian Pro.
Possibly, yeah. So that they might be.
But a handful.
Yeah, but it was like there was like 36
sanctioned
sanctioned events, and since them sanctioning, they've either shut down as an event, or they've rebranded as an event. And maybe there's some need to rebrand, you know, from a business side of things, because I think Strength and Depth was rebranded very recently. But like the track record for competitions affiliating with CrossFit is not great. Granite Games is completely
where'd
gone.
Granite Games go?
That was the biggest Midwest competition, and people loved
that one.
And it's gone. You know,
West Coast Classic.
West Coast Classic is gone. Now that could be the ownership of them, right?
Yeah.
But the track record for affiliating with CrossFit for these sanctioned events is not great.
Death sentence.
I mean,
just kidding.
In a way. But I think one thing that is happening right now that's a little bit different, that in the masters and the teen side of things, is they have a structured season. Yes. And it's like, I train for the open. I unfortunately have to train for the in-person semifinal. And then I go to, you know, the games. So like the only thing that's different from the regional flow is the fact that you're just doing it in affiliate. Yeah. But it's very like boom, boom, boom. And they've done, and people like the master side of things and the teen side of things ran so smooth outside of the uniforms last year, which I think is getting rectified this year. Everything ran so smooth.
There's always going to be something.
Yeah, right. But you know, I've watched legends start out in a gym and grow into a venue, and it, you know, that whole process was amazing. Like they did a great job with it. Same thing with the teen side of the things. They were the pit teen throwdown. They grew into the games, and like, you know.
Well, it's like I think you've talked about this on another podcast. It's like all of these other competitions seem to be figuring it out.
Yes.
Kyle with Fittest of the Coast.
Killing it.
Started in a gym.
Yeah.
And now look at him.
Yeah.
The pro divisions are stacked.
Yeah. Right.
This year.
Right.
I mean, they were last year too, but like the pro divisions are stacked.
Well, and
this year.
Yeah. And I think what he understands, so like, again, I'm obviously not like a business savant, but like looking from the outside in, the big name athletes do draw people, but you make your money on all the other divisions.
Well, Wadapalooza. They've figured it out. Rogue is probably the only one. Yeah. Rogue and Dubai. Those two are very well run competitions that are truly just for the elite.
But if you look at them, Dubai has stupid amounts of money to throw at it.
Truly.
Stupid amounts, like unfathomable amounts. And then Rogue probably uses that as a tax write-off every year.
Well, and it's conjunction with Strongman.
Yes.
So it's like there's two events going on.
Right. So they couple them up, but they also probably use that. Their thing isn't the competition. Their thing is selling equipment.
Yeah.
Right. And so they put that on as like a showcase to sell their equipment.
Yeah.
So it's a marketing scheme. It's their marketing strategy. Not a scheme. It's a marketing strategy that allows people the opportunity to go and compete.
But like those are literally the two competitions.
Also, Rogue is, I guess, an affiliated event. So like, I guess they stuck around too.
Are they still actually affiliated with CrossFit though?
I think they're a CrossFit sanctioned event.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
But they like those are the two major competitions that don't have basically, if you will, the community divisions.
Yes.
But like that's like what you said. That's where you make your money. Again, the big names draw the people in, and also like the big names also are the people who draw people to compete.
Yes.
Because they're like, okay, I might not be in Haley Adams' division, but I'm competing at the same competition that the daughters are at.
Right.
You know?
Right. And I think that's where, you know, I was listening to that Dave Castro podcast with Savon, and he made some comments on there about like, look, and again, I don't know the behind the scenes of everything, right? I don't know the contracts. I don't know the timing, the scheduling, etc., any of that. I'm just looking at this from a bigger picture view and like seeing like, okay, what competitions are successful over the last 10, 12 years I've been competing, and what have they done to do that, right? And he made comments about basically trying to continuously make it more exclusive, and the actions over the last, 7+ years show that. They've passed off the masters, they've passed off the teens, they're cutting the team field down. And it, I'm looking at that and being like, okay, when you guys have field events, pretty much it'll run team, then individual, or individual, then team on the field. And the whole Coliseum is empty. Why don't you put people in there? Like, and then vice versa when you go to the field, or like, why aren't you like busing people off site to the lake? Like, you guys have 3 stages, just like Wadapalooza does, 3 or 4, just like Wadapalooza does. Why are you not maximizing your time at those?
Again, like all these other competitions have figured it out. I don't know why CrossFit hasn't figured it out.
Right. And like, you can still have more people at the games, but still make it a spectacle of the elite, right? And
Wadapalooza.
Yeah.
Prime example.
Prime example. Yeah. And so, I think, I don't know what is going to transpire with the games this year, but I would not be surprised if it's difficult for them to get sponsors.
Yeah.
And look, I'm saying this out of sadness. I'm not saying this out of like joy or anything like that, because I grew up with the CrossFit Games being the pinnacle of everything, And so like, it's tough to potentially, again, I don't know, watch it start to wither away, if that makes sense. And so it's just, it's sad that it seems like there's a way to fix it and help it to grow, but there's not a lot of ears listening to those voices, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the leadership seems stubborn.
Yes. Yeah. And like, if you've lived in business or read any sort of business books, like models need to change, and they need to adapt, and not every model is going to work. Like, the first models that you try are probably not the models that are going to succeed. Like, if you look at multiple different tech startups, they tried to put a model out there, but over time they continuously adapt that model until something works. And I think that, and not to, go ahead.
I was just saying, I do feel like CrossFit has found a couple of models that could have worked, but they just never stuck with something long enough to let it become what it could be.
Yeah. Or when those models work, they don't go back to them. They're just like,
we're like,
scrub it.
Yes. Like, we did that. Yeah. And do they not see that it was work? Like, I just don't.
Right.
Like, I think regionals worked.
Yeah.
Like, and because that's the other thing, especially with like, it's not going to be perfect.
Right.
In a sport like CrossFit, like, sure, other sports are a little more subjective, right? CrossFit's objective because no competition is the same. The only way to make it subjective is like every competition has to have the same 8 events, and then it's like, then that's boring, and it's not CrossFit anymore.
Well, and that's what regionals was, though. But you also
I
had.
just mean like, yeah, never mind.
No, I get what you're saying, but there was
that's still objective because not all the same people are
competing against each other.
Right.
And what I was going to use that as an example is like, I coached a team in 2017 that finished 14th place in the world going on the second week of competition in regionals, which is fucking crazy. And they didn't qualify for the games. So they were coming out of regionals. They were the 14th fittest team in the world going on the second weekend. And as you should know, each weekend the scores get better and better and better because you get more time to practice.
Correct.
And they didn't qualify for the games.
Yeah.
By all means, they should have been a games level
exactly.
team.
And so like, that's where I'm saying, like, it's not like no model in CrossFit I feel is going to be perfect because CrossFit is a more subjective.
There's objective.
I always say objective and subjective wrong. Objective means it's a more subjective sport.
Yeah.
Because workouts are different from competition to competition. Strength of field is different from competition to competition.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing, like in regionals. Oh, well, if our team was in the West or if our team was in the Northeast, we would have qualified, but because we're in the Southeast, we didn't.
Right.
So like there is that subjectivity to CrossFit, and that unfortunately I think there's no way around that because of the type of sport CrossFit is. But there are models that had enough objectivity that worked, and they just needed to stick with it and let it work.
Yes. Yep. 100% agree with that. And like in any sport, you're going to have, some of that subjectivity you're talking about is I consider chaos. And like in every sport, you're going to have that.
Yeah.
You're going to have judging chaos. You're going to have judging chaos is a lot of it in sport.
You're gonna have human error chaos.
Yeah, you're gonna have your travel schedule for professional sports. So, but the sports are trying to take as much of the chaos out of that as possible and streamline it as best as they can. And it just seems like CrossFit's like word vomit every 2 years and see what happens.
Well, you think of golf. There's a lot of subjectivity to that too, because do you qualify? Maybe you qualify at an easier course than somebody else. Like there's always going to be that chaos or subjectivity to sport. Right. But
yeah. And it seems like the World Fitness Project is going more the lines of golf for a competition style, which
because there's a way to get like your pro
cards. Yeah, I think they're calling it a pro card. So like there's pro cards, like you can keep a pro card, you can get it taken away, like somebody else can come in and take it, which is it's kind of refreshing to see, because there'll be like hey, you need to do this in order to keep your pro card.
Yeah.
If you don't do this, it's getting stripped. And like I think there's going to be obviously some benefits of having that pro card, especially as that competition and that bracket grows. So I'm pretty excited to see what they put out there.
I'm excited to see what unfolds there.
Yeah. Sweet.
See if I can qualify for some of that stuff once they announce it.
Yeah. What else you got?
I don't think much of anything. I like your mug.
Oh yeah, I got it off of Amazon. I forgot to buy one while we were down there. Turks and Caicos. I like your mug. Tacticock. What are we at, Raphael? Like well over an hour?
Not well over, like 110 maybe.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up. If you guys are still listening, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anything, please give us a 5-star rating. That will be super helpful. And share this one to your guys' stories or wherever if you can. Give Amanda a follow at
Amanda_thighs
on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's TikTok?
I mean, I have a TikTok. That's also, I think that's just Amanda Thighs without the underscore.
Okay.
I think, but I don't post on it very much. I just scroll on TikTok.
Fair enough. So give Amanda a follow, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.